Eteteronit o penetalahangya o panahwangda. Noaya Emoori, my name is Alistair Joshua, and I am from the hidden paradise of Rotuma. The opening short phrase that I used was extracted from a well-known idiom in Rotuma, simply illustrating that one day your pen will feed you and your family. Before I begin, for most of us, it has been a journey so cold and weary and unwitting to say the least. The reason for this is that we are often on a journey out in the seas where navigating is only directed to one place, and that is the Western lands, and not yours or even mine. I cannot disagree that it has not helped me as an individual throughout my primary and high school years due to the value and position that it holds, where it is projected as a chance to improve and develop one's life to advancement. Therefore, the following slides will entail the importance of both the Western and Indigenous way of learning based on various theories. Following is my take on with concern to these contradictions and a summary of what has been entailed throughout. The first slide is based on the Western theories, where theories such as Pavlov's theory on the dog experiment, where he simply describes that our behavior revolves around the things we experience around our environment. And it is these two aspects that are the key to what behaviorism is all about. And I have extracted an example from Thorndike's law of effect, where students are given excellent stamps for completion of activities. And the gradual experience of this allows students to utilize positive behavior because they know their behavior is connected to the rewards. Apart from behaviorism, cognitivism have also interplayed a very vital role in how we learn in the classroom, where I have used Piaget's 4 stages of cognitive development, of which includes the sensory motor stage, the pre-operational stage, the concrete stage, and lastly the formal operational stage. With reference to his theories, I must admit that this is very evident on a personal level, where I have 2 middle-aged sisters who are currently experiencing adolescence egocentrism, and also my little sister who is on the same boat as well. Therefore, I can conclude that Piaget's implication was for children to reach their milestones without intervention or distraction of any kind, as this would deter a child from progression or reaching full cognitive potential. And mind you, this may be very adverse in both the short and long run, a situation in which we do not want any child to experience. This slide gives you an insight of the various theories that have their works correlating to us, the Pacific or the indigenous people. Like many other brotherly islands of our Pacific, our indigenous education is derived not from the books and pens or pages from the textbooks that our teachers gave us, but it's basically from life itself, passed down from our forefathers to us. Learning in our context was expressed in a language where we all knew and had imprinted in our very bloodstreams that run through our veins. Vygotsky and Bandura were one of the very few theorists that had their works syncing or corresponding with us. The oceanic people, as Epeli Hauofa would refer to. Lev Vygotsky simply believed that children develop independently on various stages through interaction with that of their social and cultural networks, where he uses a term called zone of proximal development, where children learn through the help of a guidance of a more knowledgeable other. And this is very evident in our response in our respective itu'us or villages, where we are communally based, trying to reach a common goal through common efforts such as our fatongias or obligations. Hence why we are better when we work in groups and not alone in a formal education setting. Albert Bandura, on the other hand, is similar to Vygotsky theory, but is more driven to the fact where people learn through social interactions, through the imitation of others, through the observation, replication, and retaining behavior observed. Like the others, he uses the Bobo doll to experiment his hypothesis, and the results were impeccable in the sense where those who observed well did the same action as that of the adult, and those that didn't did otherwise or didn't give much reaction. And I think I would like to give you an example from my own experience. In my time, I would experience I would observe my parents disciplining myself and my siblings. And mind you, at the time, the the disciplinary approaches that they took were very much Pacific oriented, in the sense whereby we were spanked. And I do understand that this does not correspond well with the education system now, but I think that was then. And we do understand that we do understand that my example is intolerant and unacceptable on a Western basis of learning. But the question that I still ask myself today is that why is the Pacific labeled with good things such as the friendly islands of Tonga and Fiji as one of the happiest countries in the world? And through those experiences that I've had with my parents, through those disciplinary approaches that they took upon us, it really I think it was the value that we had to search in order for us, and trust me, it has really paid off. Not only for myself, but for my siblings. Hence, despite the Western origins, they have triggered the urge for potential Pacific theories to formulate frameworks that would fit us well, such as the Kakala framework by Konai Thaman and the Vanua from Fiji, to name a few. This slide simply explains my own personal take on with this concern to both these worlds of learning. As an individual, I have seen the influences of this current world crawling up to our shores of my Anga culture and my Hanua society, where my identity has been driven by the demands of this new culture. Many of our schools and universities and those employed within the sectors are struggling to get by every day unwittingly. And it has been a struggle having to find me within this suffocation, where we are taught in USP to respect all cultures in different forms. But this would be contradictory and delusional, because if I say that I understand and feel the same way towards other cultures, it would not match what I am trying to present to you now, or what is written on my essay. Because I don't expect foreigners to see and feel the same about my culture, specifically those of the Western. Therefore, my views are more harmonious and conservative, in the sense that both these worlds of learning hold their respective rights and importance in their own respect, in which we are connected by the ocean, where our knowledge, history, experiences, and stories are expressed in diverse ways that give us our very identity, such as through our maka, which is the dance, our sakte, weaving of mats, rongo, our stories, ngaruni siu, our carvings, and our tuatoka, the silences. I would also like to echo that as a student and as a pre-service teacher, I have recognized the importance of Western education upon myself as an individual, and hopefully to most, because despite its culturally undemocratic nature, as Konahelu would identify it as, it has allowed us to learn from others in a more humane manner, where it simply allows us to find consensus where consensus may seem impossible. To conclude, learning is a process that has no beginning and end. It simply is a process where learning is always learning, where learning is always learning in itself. Simply as quoted from Konai Thaman, that it is a story within a story. And there are times where contradictions would be so intense, we could rarely see the blue skies. But if we take that one umbrella and make shade, not for one, but for all, we need to begin with us now, to know ourselves as Oceania and adapt and befriend with those outside. But before we do so, we must always incorporate and make known ourselves as people of the biggest ocean in the world, where our ancestors searched far and wide for land. Now is our time to search for balance and peace For time then we cannot bring back. Thank you very much for listening and have yourself a blessed day. Noa iya mafoyaksem.